Right, okay, so first of all we are going to start with the masking tape. So you just take a little piece like that, just a square, and you're going to rip these up into little pieces and stick them into this box that says masking tape. Just position them anywhere you like. You can have really loads of little small pieces or a few medium pieces, but it doesn't really matter where they go. Just make sure that they're stuck down really well. Okay, so I've pressed them all down like that. Next you get your brush from the water and select a colour, any colour you like. I'm going to pick blue here for this one. A bit more water I think to mix it well into that palette. Make sure you're picking up lots of pigment. Okay, and I'm just going to do a wash over the top. That's a little bit watery, but it doesn't really matter, not for this one. Okay, so that's the wash. That one's done really quick. Okay, now you have a go. Right, so while that one's drying, we are going to go and do the next one, which is the graded wash. So this is probably the hardest one. I'm going to go with red for this one to start with. Okay, so for the graded wash, we can just go from a very pigmented colour and then water it down gradually until it's very transparent and pale. So we'll do that first. So what we're going to do, get lots of pigment up here, not overly wet, but certainly enough so it's just a bit shiny like that, you see. Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to run it along the top like this, maybe a couple of lines like that. Now I want it to go lighter, so I'm literally just going to plop my brush in there, wipe off the excess water, and then now do the next bit. Okay, you'll see how that's getting lighter, and then we'll do the same again. Put the paintbrush in, pull it out, and then do the next bit. Okay, so it's gradually getting lighter and lighter, and then I'll put the brush in one last time, scrape off all the excess water and finish off that. Okay, don't worry if you go over the black print, it's not going to bleed or anything. There you go. Now if you want to be a bit more clever, I mean there's nothing wrong with that, that looks really good, but if you want to go into the second colour and go from the bottom, you can. So I'm going to put it's a bit of a muddy yellow here because it was a bit dirty, but I'm going to go in with a little bit of yellow, and then I'll just go from the bottom upwards just to give it a second kind of colour. So I've put a bit of colour in there, then I just need to put it back in the water, pull that out, drain the excess off, and then just blend that into the middle like that. Yeah, so there you go. So you can put two colours in if you want, or just go from one colour down to clear. Alright, so go and have a go at doing that now. Right, next is the wax crayon resist. So in this box you can do any shape or pattern that you like. You can draw your name, or you do circles, hearts, whatever, but I've done Humpty Dumpty on here because I like doing bricks with this technique. So I'm going to put some lines across like this, and then draw the bricks in. You'll be able to see it in a second when I hold it to the light. Be nice and firm with that. Okay, if I hold it up to the one side there, you can see the brick pattern that I've put in. Now, I don't need to be very precise with this, but I'm going to use orange, reds and browns, and just very quickly just put a wash over the top like that. Pick up a bit of brown here, go in there, a bit more water. I'm going to go into some of the orange again, just filling it up just with sort of brick colours, and then just loosely just put it over. I don't need to be too precious about it. There you go, and that, as quick as you saw there, you've got your brick wall. Right, next we're going to do the colour bleed one. So how you do this one, get your paintbrush as clean as you can and use a wet brush and just fill all the hair in with water. There might be a slight tint of the water if the water was a bit dirty, but generally just fill that up with just the hair. Don't go over the face if you can help it. Okay, so if we have a look here, you can see that that's shiny there, so that's all wet. So now I'm going to pick some colours, and I'm going to go in with a bit of watery blue, and I'm just going to poke that in. Alright, I'm not going to sweep it over, I'm just poking that colour in, and it sort of pushes the colour outwards. If it doesn't do any sort of bleed, then it might be that you haven't got enough water on here. I might make mine a bit wetter because I don't think it's bled okay, but it hasn't been as dramatic as I thought. So I put a bit more water in there, and now I'm going to use a bit of watery red in here as well. Mix the red in. Then I'm going to poke it around this side like this. Okay, you can see it's starting to bleed out a little bit. And then I might wet my brush a bit and use some more water just to get this all blended in together. Yeah, and pulling this out, pulling the colour out, and then it'd have a little explosion. Yeah, there we go. Now you have a try. Okay, right, next we are going to do the fingerprint. So if, like me, you've already got some paints in here that are a bit damp, just go straight in there with your finger and just start to play around with the fingerprints. Just dab them in. You might want to try some wet fingerprints and some not so wet ones. I think I'll go for a bit of blue now. Oh, like that, just fill it in. If it's too dry, then just put your finger in the water and then dab it on again. Okay, and just try some wet ones and dry ones and just see what the difference is. Try some big flat ones or some little pointy ones. Okay, so don't worry about it being too neat. You're just practicing with your fingerprint. Okay, I'm going to do a big one on that fin there and a big one there. Yeah, lovely. Have a go. Peel yours off and see what shapes you're left with, how crisp and clear it looks. Then if you've got time, just for an additional thing to do, you might want to try some splat over the top. So get your paintbrush nice and wet, pick up some colour. Does need to be wet, otherwise it won't splat very well. And then, oh, I don't know if this is too watery, we'll soon find out. Hold it like this, your brush, and then just gently tap it on the top. Yeah? And then that's just a bit of try of having some splatter on there as well. I think that looks quite nice. It's quite abstract. Okay, so peel your masking tape off and then have a go with some splatting.